June 1633. A 69-year-old man collapses to his knees on the cold stone of a Roman convent. He isn't praying. He's surrendering. He mutters a script of absolute humiliation, disowning his own brain to save his skin. This is Galileo Galilei, the man who saw the truth and then publicly spat on it. We've been sold a lie. We call him a martyr for science, a lonely hero crushed by religious zealots. Forget that fairy tale. The man who broke Galileo wasn't some illiterate monk. It was his best friend, his biggest donor, the most powerful man in Europe. This wasn't a war over the stars. It was an internal hit job. A high-stakes betrayal triggered by a single. The establishment owned the sky. They locked it in a cage of ancient Greek logic and bolted the door with divine law. In their world, the earth sits still, frozen at the center of God's gaze. Everything else moves in perfect, boring circles. To question this wasn't just a mistake. It was a riot. Enter the disruptor, a man drowning in family debt, clawing for a seat at the table of the elite. Galileo didn't just want to study the stars. He wanted to own them. He saw a system rotting from the inside, pompous professors clinging to dusty lutes while the world moved on. Then he found the glass, a toy for sailors, a tool for spies. He didn't just look through it. He re-engineered it into a weapon. While other men saw blurry spots, Galileo saw jagged scars. He saw a moon that was filthy, cratered, and broken. Nothing like the perfect celestial sphere the church demanded. But he didn't run to the bishops with a plea for truth. He bypassed the gatekeepers. He wrote in the street tongue of the common man. He turned the heavens into a tabloid scandal. He rebranded the moons of Jupiter as a political bribe for the Medici family, tethering his survival to the most ruthless dynasty in Italy. He wasn't just observing the cosmos. He was weaponizing it. He drew a target on the back of the status quo and waited for them to flinch. Power is a mirror, and Galileo spent years staring at his own reflection. He didn't find an enemy in the Vatican. He found a brother, Cardinal Maffeo Barberini, a man of silk, poetry, and ruthless intellect. When Barberini grabbed the keys to St. Peter's, Galileo didn't see a pope. He saw a blank check. They walked the Vatican gardens together. They debated the stars like gods. The Pope whispered a green light. Write the book. Just don't call it a fact. Call it a thought experiment. Galileo agreed. Then he went home and lit the fuse. He didn't just write a scientific paper. He wrote a hit piece. He framed his masterpiece as a debate between three men, two geniuses and one idiot. He named the idiot Simplicio. Then he did the unthinkable. He took the Pope's private, personal philosophical defense, the one his friend shared in confidence, and put it directly into the mouth of the simpleton. It wasn't a debate. It was a public execution of the Pope's dignity. Outside the palace walls, the world was screaming. The 30 Years' War was tearing Europe apart. The Spanish Habsburgs were breathing down the Pope's neck, calling him weak, calling him a traitor to the faith. Urban VIII was backed into a corner, fighting for his political life. He needed to prove he could crush a heretic. Then came Galileo, handing him the rope. The Pope didn't snap because of the stars. He snapped because his friend turned him into a punchline while his empire burned. He didn't send a priest to talk theology. He sent the Inquisition to talk blood. Galileo's institutional shield didn't just crack. It became the hammer. The Inquisition didn't kill Galileo. They did something worse. They erased him while he was still breathing. He retreated to a villa in the hills, a gilded cage where the silence felt like a chokehold. His eyes failed him. The man who saw the moons of Jupiter ended his life in total darkness. But the church made a fatal mistake. They thought a blind man couldn't fight back. Deep in the shadows of house arrest, Galileo began his final act of sabotage. He stopped arguing about the heavens and started mastering the earth. He stripped physics down to its bones: motion, gravity, the raw mechanics of reality. He wasn't just writing a book. He was forging a master key to the next 3 centuries. But Rome held the gates. No printer in Italy would touch his ink. His words were contraband. To get them out, he had to run a black market operation across a continent at war. He leaned on his daughter, a cloistered nun who acted as his tactical shadow. He tapped into a network of Protestant smugglers and shady merchants. They hid his pages in crates of trade goods. They hauled his ideas over the snow-choked Alps, dodging border guards and holy spies. The manuscript finally surfaced in the Netherlands, a place where the Pope's reach hit a dead end. While the Vatican celebrated its victory over a kneeling old man, his data was already flooding the northern markets. He didn't need to win the trial. He just needed to export the truth. By the time the ink dried in Leiden, the Mediterranean monopoly on knowledge was dead. Galileo had successfully smuggled the future out of his own prison cell. We demand our heroes die in the flames. We want the cinematic execution. But Galileo gave us something far more dangerous. He gave us his shame. He knelt on that stone floor and sold his soul to buy back his data. He chose the coward's oath over the martyr's fire. And that choice changed the DNA of human progress forever. By surrendering his dignity, he severed the cord between truth and power. He proved that you can silence a man, but you cannot stop a calculation. Every satellite orbiting this planet, every probe piercing the edge of our solar system, every piece of tech in your pocket runs on the gears he built while trapped in the dark. He shifted the world from why to how. He invented the first language that doesn't need a priest or a king to translate it. But look at the scar he left behind. By stripping science away from the moral throat of the establishment, he birthed a monster. A world where progress moves without a conscience. A world where data is king, and ethics is an afterthought. It took the Vatican nearly 4 centuries to say they were sorry. But the apology is a ghost story. The real victory lies in the silence of that villa. Galileo didn't lose that trial. He outplayed it. He gambled his honor to ensure the cause outlived the man. So, ask yourself, if the future of human knowledge sat in your hands, and the fire waited at your feet, would you have the guts to be a coward? Or would you let the truth burn with you? The stars don't care about your answer. They just keep moving.